Xavier has created a new company, which I believe he conceived when he was still an undergraduate.
Yes.
And now he has funding and he has clients. And so we're going to have a little conversation about how this all evolved.
Of course.
And I think first Xavier would like to show you just what his product is.
Sure,
and then we'll talk. We'll go backwards. We'll regress from
Sounds
there.
good. Yes, I wanted to take a couple of minutes just to show you the platform and see set the stage like that. All right, so the name of the company is Tuatara. Tuatara is it's a reptile. Comes from the dinosaur era, but it has the fastest growing DNA from any specimen in the whole world. So we like to think that the name denotes our ability for rapid evolution in both IT and IP. Hence our tag name, Rapid Evolution Electronic DNA. So we're about 12 people. It's a small startup, but very lucky to have this team. I mean this is. These are the guys that put this thing together. I mean, so the name of the product is Gilapad. Now, Gilapad came from like the Gila monster. Who's it's anotother reptile. I mean, I'm not.
Were you a biology major?
No, I wasn't. I actually don't like the reptiles that much. But finding a name was so difficult. I mean, I sat in front of my computer for months trying to come up with a name for the platform, and we referred to it to Lizard for about 6 months, and we're developing in Lizard 1.0. The beta coming up. So at the end, one of my marketing strategists came into my office and he just said to me, "What about the Gila monster? I mean, it has a couple of good qualities, and we can take the Gila and add the pad. So then we go in different verticals. We can go on Gila Health, Gila Social, Gila Log, whatever." So I bought like 85 domain names that day. I mean, I got them all. I mean, yeah. So anyways, Gilapad. So what is Gilapad? So like Arnie said, when I was in school, I had my laptop in front of me. It was a very tiny desk. I had my book, my calculator, my computer, and I was writing my notes. And then the professor would come to me and give me handouts, the PDFs, the PowerPoint slides. So I thought to myself that there must be a way that I can, access all this content in one place and then integrate by take bits and pieces from all these many resources. So I was willing to pay for a service like that, and I couldn't find it for 6-7 months. So what it is practically a split canvas, right? So the first time that you sign up, this is what you see. All right. So you got on the left is the content canvas, and then on the right is the curation canvas. So on the right, we built a very powerful notepad. So this is a CIC that allows people to take notes like you would in Google Docs or Evernote. I mean, we have a very powerful WYSIWYG system that has pretty much every feature that you would find on any note-taking app. But the difference is that we paired an app with content. So if you wanted to get into YouTube, I mean, you wanted to go and find, and these are the instructions, right? So you can see, start searching, watch a video, you can simply drag it and drop it. So if you were looking for anatomy, so if you went to YouTube, right, you were looking for, yes, like I said, biology. There you go. You find the video. You can watch the video right within the site. You don't have to leave. And like I said, and like you guys saw, right? If you find a video, you can simply drag it and drop it. And when you drag it and drop it, we compile it right within your notes. Once they're in your notes, you can annotate them. You see right here the green site. When you start say this is important, then you can see that the little green icon just light up on this side here. It light up on this side, so we also give you the capability to collapse them and to move it around. So if you want to just reorganize, so you can reorganize the box of notes by simply dragging it and drop it. If you went to Wikipedia and you started looking for, again, instructions, you can view the article and you can just drag and drop. So if you're looking for an article of Boston, so you can simply integrate content by dragging and dropping, or an image by dragging and dropping. Sorry. There you go. So because we're keeping track of everything that's being done right within our site, we can take you back to the source with a simple click of a button. So if you click on the go back to our icon, take you back to YouTube so you can view more videos. Or if you wanted to go back to, let's get into another article on Wikipedia. Wanted to go back to that one, we'll send you back to Boston, right? Now, the last piece is the content that comes from publishers. I mean, so we signed an agreement with McGraw-Hill, so we're selling their content. So if you were going to school and you found like a textbook that we're selling, you can buy it very cheap. I mean, we have very competitive prices. I mean, it's really not that high, but we give you the same capabilities, right? The drag and drop. I mean, you can view, animations, images. I mean, you name it. I mean, we have a pretty cool system. I mean, now what we found for the past couple of months that we launched is that, again, people are using this not just for school. I mean, they're using this, for when they're working. I mean, I'm working with my lawyer, so I've got a couple of contracts on the left side. So I drag and drop some clauses, and then, we start annotating and say this is not 15%, it should be 20. So then he gets that because we have sharing capabilities. See right here next to the name. By the way, I can change the name by simply saying whatever. But if you click on that, you can add people, and you can give them read or read and write capabilities. So then you can both be collaborating at the same time. So that allows for group projects and it's for that reason that we actually, I was saying a couple of minutes ago that we chose build this, which is the ability to upload your own PDFs. So now you can, if you have a PDF, you upload it and then you can view it. You can view it on, let's see if we can take one real quick. Temp. There you go. So it starts uploading, it's processing. When you click on it, loads the PDF. This is a really a big PDF, and you saw how fast that was, right? And you can, grab. Let's just take one from this right here. You can grab this and again drag it and drop it. So now with your own PDFs. So now you have content that's proprietary, content that's free, and content that you create, and it can all be interactive with each other.
Just PDFs or Microsoft Word?
For right now, it's only PDF. We chose did it last night, so but we're obviously going to be working upon that. But one of the reasons, and I think this is the reason why I'm actually here tonight, is because we had to change our business model a couple of times. And when we launched 2 months ago, all the analytics, all the feedback that we've gotten back is that 30% of all our users are not even students. So they're the ones asking for features like this, upload PDF. Now they want integration with Dropbox and Google Drive. So now we're going to be expanding upon the plugin idea. Now we have YouTube and Wikipedia. So now we're going to continue to create more. But we're also bringing Gilapad outside Gilapad itself, because we're making Gilapad a plugin on its own. So meaning that you can install it within your browser. So you can be virtually anywhere on the web. You click on the Gilapad button, a notepad comes there. You can take notes and drag and drop, content from any site. So that way, we don't have to be building 1,000 plugins. We can just, give the users the ability to go anywhere they want and then integrate content. Yeah. That cool? You got any questions? Yeah. Thank you. Please sign up. I mean, yeah, we need more users. So
Okay, that raises sort of the ultimate question: is what's your profit model?
Well, as of right now, we're selling textbooks. Obviously, we're taking commissions on those sales. However, that's not going to be sustainable. I mean, textbooks. I mean, students. I just came back from New York meeting with VC at Union Square Ventures, and he was saying to me that all the research that they did came down to students are not buying anything because obviously they don't have a lot of money, right? I mean, so content that costs money does not have a future, and that's why when you have a question about anything, you go online, you Google it, you find it on YouTube, and that's it. You move on. So what we want to do now is capitalize on the features themselves, meaning that content. We're still going to be making commissions on content, but we want to create several tiers for the platform, a freemium and a premium version of it. So we're going to have a couple of features that are going to be premium. So if people want to pay for that, they'll be able to do so. Such as we have 3 things that we're working towards now. I mean, I can't really, say it, but but we have 3 features that I think it's going to make it very powerful, for not only students but also professors and institutions. Because we know that students are not going to be buying the premium version. We're going to be selling it to institutions. I mean, so institutions will give it to students for free. But those are the ones that we're going to be targeting in order for us to capitalize on the technology and the features and technology. Yeah. Cool. All right, so if you
Terrific. Questions at this point?
As of right now, yeah. No.
What about business
Sure.
users?
Yes, well, we launched 2 months ago, so we have 1,400 users now. So 1,400 users, active users. Obviously, that's growing. I actually, when I launched a month and a half ago, I got 4 people to go to the schools, and so they had shirts, Gilapad, had big banners. So they were handing out glasses, ping pong balls, you name it. I mean, a bunch of marketing stuff, and people started, using it like that. Started, the word started, going. But right now, one of the problems that I'm having now is the cold. I mean, people. They can be outside the whole day, and people don't stop when it's so cold out. So what we're doing now is creating an online marketing campaign where we're gonna give our users, the ability to bring in, their friends, and then we're gonna reward them with, gift cards. I mean, the more people you bring, the more, the more you could, get from us. So that's gonna start next year. But as of right now, we don't have any other, marketing initiatives other than the one that we're gonna start next week, which is, that one.
So where are you in the funding process?
Sure, sure. Well, I mean, at about a year and a half ago, I got funded $3.7 million to build this. I mean, so it wasn't all together. I mean, I actually talked to many people, many private investors, and I was able to raise that amount of money from four people. So they when they actually gave me that money, it was all to build a proof of concept, to build the product, so we can start, obviously, so we can launch it. As of right now, we are discussing with 4 VCs, serious discussions for a $4 million round, that's gonna help us, take this to the next level, including this.
So let's back up a second.
Sure.
You got 4 investors initially. The standard term is the 3Fs: family, friends, and fools.
Yeah.
So did you get that from family, friends, and fools? Did you get it from angels who happen to be associated with the school or with the program that you were involved in at school?
Well, I mean, at the beginning, I did raise money from friends and family, but that was in the 3.7. I mean, that was $125,000 that I was able to raise from again, friends, families, and fools. But then later when I was looking for content, so I went to Pearson, and I tried to get them to give me content. And this is like 3 years ago. So I'm like 24 at the time. I mean, so one meeting took to the other one. It took me 7 months to get to the CMO and the head of business and development. So when they asked me, have you been funded? And I'm like, no. I mean, have you even incorporated? It's like, no. All right, tell you what, we're gonna be buying 2 companies, so come and join us. We need a creative director that could help us come up with new features. So at the end, I ended up not taking the job, but then ended up going to McGraw-Hill and try to get McGraw-Hill. But it was the same thing. It was the same wall. I mean, they won't work with you if you don't have any funding, obviously. So what I decided to do is raise it from my friends and family. But I knew it wasn't going to be enough. But it was going to be enough for me to convince somebody from McGraw-Hill, at least just to give them some sort of credibility, in order for them to join me and together go and get a publisher. And that's how I teamed up with William Hoover, who's the co-founder of the company. And together we went back to McGraw-Hill. We signed the contract, and then once we had a contract signed for a beta, that was a lot easier for me to go and raise money from the other people. Now the other people are private investors, but they're not friends, they're not family. I mean, it's just
So you call them angels?
I mean, angels. I mean,
private investors.
Yeah, private investors, and angels. They do have businesses in the U.S. I mean, they do a lot of other investments in the technology side. So you would say angels. Yeah.
Okay. And so now you're burning through that money, and you're looking at professional venture capitalists for your next, perhaps your A round, it's
Absolutely.
often referred to. So that's where you are now, is talking
Yes.
to VC guys. And at this point, you don't have a term sheet yet, but you're living in hope.
Well, I mean, I do have a term sheet from, but again, it's not institutional money. I mean, so I'm actually traveling to Miami next week, so the money will come. I mean, I am obviously looking for institutional money because, as you guys may know, obviously, institutional money helps you more than just give you money. I mean, it's more than just money. It's contacts. I mean, it's expertise. I mean, somebody coming to my company help me take this to the next level. Whereas if I go through private investors, I mean, it's, all they can do is sign a check, which is great. I mean, I'll take it. But yes, I mean, so I'm looking at my options. Yeah.
What's your exit strategy?
For right now, I mean, we've been discussing with. Obviously, this is my baby, right? I mean, I don't want an exit strategy, but I do have to have it. And we're talking to a couple of people interested in. I just came back from London. I was meeting with the senior vice president of Elsevier. So we were discussing a possible integration of Gilapad within one of their services. So I think being bought by one of these big companies, big publishers, is definitely on the table. I mean, even since before, so we had already touched on those topics, way before, when they wanted to give us content, but they also wanted to take a piece of the company. Obviously, I didn't do it. It was a funny conversation, actually. Yeah, but I ended up having it my way, so that was great. Yeah. Now, how many of you want to start a company, or how many of you have a company now? Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I guess as you may or may know, may not know, but one of the things that I always tell people is to join other startups. Before you start your own company, I actually joined 2 other startups before I started this one, and the reason why I did that is because I knew that I was gonna find a lot of a lot of issues that I needed to, kind of get in the field and, and get a sense of how it is to build a company from the ground up. So joining another company really gives you that expertise, and then when you start doing your own things, it'll teach you a lot. I mean, so if you guys are thinking about it, I mean, I would just say, go do work for free. I mean, I wasn't even charging anything.
When you joined them as what? Like,
Sure.
What did you do for the startups?
Well, I mean, so I'm a Flash guy, so I'm a Flash developer. Well, I used to. Right now, I only do Excel sheets and emails. Yeah, but I used to do a lot of development, and I was going to school for computer science, and then I switched for graphic design. So I got a couple of my friends, and this is like not big companies. A couple of my friends came up to me and said, I have this idea, and I said, well, let me build a prototype for you. All right. So I used to build the prototypes, but then I started picking and choosing the people that I wanted to work with. So there was this company called Citrus Acquisitions, where the founders were a professor at Harvard and a professor at Babson. So they both of them teamed up, and they started this company. Company didn't take off, but they were extremely smart. I mean, and obviously, I joined them, and they said to me, "We can't pay you much." It's like, "Don't pay me anything. It's just, give me all of your meetings," and that's why I'm here. So at the same time, however, I do need to eat. I mean, so you do need to pay rent. I mean, so you gotta make sure that you either have another job on the side, or you just get paid, even if it's as a co-founder. I mean, you still need to be thinking about that as well. But in my case, I was going to school full time. I was working, part time at a school, and I was doing working prototypes. So I didn't really sleep much. But that's good though, because I don't need to sleep much. So I was working on my own prototype at night, because I was looking at these companies that I was helping getting funded because of my designs, because of my marketing ideas, because of my feature, everything. I was practically doing some of their business as well. I mean, so I thought to myself that it made really a lot of sense for me to just go and start doing this. And this is about 4 years ago.
So why did you choose to mainly start looking for investors instead of, for example, applying for an accelerator or incubator or something like Techstars or
Sure.
what have you?
Well, in all honesty, I really didn't have time to look into all of that stuff. I mean, seriously, I was working like almost 60, 70 hours a week. So, getting involved in one of these programs, so it was going to be time consuming. So I just wanted to take it step by step. Right? I mean, so the first thing that I did was to build the prototype and see how people reacted to it. So when I started seeing a lot of reaction from people, I decided to just, quit my job, do this full time, and that's what I did. So when I did that, that's when I started joining, this sort of like, events and the programs. Yeah. But then luckily I didn't need to, go through, win anything. I actually I was able to raise it myself. So that was great. Yeah.
When did you decide you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Was that something you started out in high school or when you were in college? When did you sort of get the bug?
Well, it's funny that you say that, but when I was young, I mean, I come from Venezuela, Guatemala. So my father is Guatemala, my mom's from Venezuela. So my background, the place that I used to live is, most people don't look forward to anything. I mean, we were very, very poor, and all we could do is get into fights and get into trouble, and that's it. So when I came to this country, I actually started seeing people, building businesses from nothing. So, I started working at a convenience store, and the owner of the convenience store was telling me his story, and then he was telling me how he came here with $15,000 in debt, with a little backpack, and, his family stayed back in India, but he just, has 7 stores now. So I said, I want a store. Then a buddy of mine says to me, I'm working at this Domino's Pizza, I became the manager, and now I can see they sell $15,000 a day, in a good day, and I'm like, I want a Domino's Pizza, right? So I started wanting more because I started seeing people doing it, and then when I started seeing the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, when I started joining, looking, I was like, screw Domino's Pizza, I want this. So that's when I started wanting it, and this is 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is when I started obviously the company. Yeah. So it's never too late, I think. Most people. I see my little brother, right? He's 18. I see him I don't know, watching TV or playing video games. I'm like, stop wasting time and go do a company. He's like, nah, I don't want to do that. But maybe it's not the time. Sometimes I see other people that are 50 and they're starting something. At the age of 50, it doesn't really matter what your age is, and I don't feel like you need to be born with wanting to do that. So long as you have the conviction, once you find out what it is that you like and what it is that you love, so long as you do it well, don't waste your time either. So that's the reason why I actually quit. I quit my job. When I was doing this, I actually got into debt for $45,000 in my credit cards because I was taking out these guys from McGraw Hill. Dinners were $1,000. This is me, a guy that I know but I had to make it seem that I would have money. That I had to make it seem that it was a credible business, that I needed them to help me, and it was because it was this triangle that I couldn't really get away from, right? So you have people that didn't want to give me money because I didn't have a contract. Publishers didn't want to give me a contract because I didn't have a product, and then developers wouldn't come work for me for free. I don't know why. I mean,
Funny thing about that.
Yeah, I talked to many of them, and so I couldn't really get one without the other. So I had to, be a little bit more creative in terms of how I could convince people, and obviously convince money people as well. Yeah.
Let me just pick up on one
Sure.
thread that you mentioned in terms of timing.
Yeah.
I'm an investor in a software company where the software was actually created by a guy who must be 75 or 80 years old. I mean, he started his computing career at a company called Digital Equipment, and moved on to a company that made what today we would call had a spreadsheet program.
Sure.
In those days, the word spreadsheet hadn't been invented yet. They called it thinking papers.
Sure.
So he was at Thinking Papers for a while, and then he moved on, and ultimately he was at Microsoft. But he came through that whole time, he was thinking about a better way to organize and access data. And so at the ripe old age of 75 or so,
of course.
he actually put it down and built enough of the code that we could see that it was probably going to work.
Yeah, of course.
And now we have VC funding, and we've done a B round, and we're off to the races. But the point is, it's never too late if you have an idea.
Of course. No, and I feel like, most great ideas come from a need. I mean, I feel like, most people that have thought about something is because they probably needed it themselves. I mean, and this is how I actually came up with this whole concept. I mean, I was willing to pay for a service like this. I say, I want to pay $20 a year if I can just access my textbook, professor's PDFs, share with somebody else, and then drag and drop bits and pieces from all these many resources. So at the end, you always think to yourself, no, somebody's working on it. Always. And it's never the case. I mean, it's funny, because one of my investors said that to me, is that, you always think that somebody else is doing it, and when in reality, somebody else is probably thinking the same thing. And in this, that's what really differentiates 99.99% of everybody, again, versus that, 0.001 from which is like people that you see around in these places. I mean, so those are the things that you always need to keep in mind. I mean, it's never too late. However, don't wait too long. Just do it at the moment, and when you do it, just do it right. I mean, they try to do it. Try to be immersed into the whole idea of creating a company. Don't just do it halfway. I mean, I know a couple of people that have come to me trying to sell me some products. I mean, so they've got this company, and I'm like, it's a beta, it's great, but so I talked about the founders. Like, what about the founders? Well, I mean, right now we've been bootstrapping. I mean, they have part-time jobs, and I'm like, so nobody's doing this full-time. No wonder it's still in beta. I mean, so if you're gonna do something, I mean, just try to do it, all the time, all the love in your heart, and that's how you're gonna get something off the ground. That's how I do it.
You've done remarkably well.
Thank you.
Done remarkably well. It's terrific.
Well, it's not over yet.
Of course
we're still there. Yeah.
You're a work in progress.
Over.
That's right. It's never done.
Yeah.
Are you based here?
We're based in the financial district, 211 Congress Street. So it's we were thinking about moving here. But even if you don't believe it, I mean, these places are expensive. Actually,
yeah, they are.
I mean, Cambridge and Kendall became so expensive. I mean, the prices. We were based in Harvard Square. Harvard Square is not as expensive as here, so I wanted to move closer to the city. And then I was looking at spaces around here, and I say, the financial district is the same as Kendall. It's like, yeah, pretty much. So I said, let's go to financial district. So that's where we moved.
So now you probably have more space.
Oh, we have a lot more space. I mean, we have 3,300 square foot. I mean, our offices are very open. I mean, one of the things that I did hate about the space in Harvard is the fact that we rented like these tiny spaces. So we had to. It's Regis. Are you familiar with Regis? Yeah. All right. So they rent it. So it makes sense when you have a couple of people, just one or two people. But whenever you start growing, I mean, I had like 14 people working for me then. So 14 people. They had to spread them out all over the floor. So if I wanted to go and talk to somebody, I had to, get out of my office. Either I chat or get out of my office and then just walk. And I'm like, I'm in really good shape. I don't need to walk that much. So I decided to just, move. And the first space that I took, it was like all empty. I mean, I got rid of all cubicles. I mean, the communication got streamlined. I mean, and I think, it helps a lot. No, that's another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about because finding people is very difficult. I mean, like I said, finding developers right now it's extremely difficult. And one of the reasons why I was able to bring in people from other companies because I did convince them to leave their companies to come work with me. I mean, other than tequila and vodka, that helped. That helped a lot. Yes, but it was the fact that I gave them equity in my company. So not most of them, but at about 6 people in my company own equity. And that's how I was able to tell them. I mean, I'll give you whatever, I'll match whatever you're making now, but you'll come and at the end of the day, this is gonna be yours. I mean, so you're gonna get in the office and you feel like a little piece of that office is yours, and that's it means a lot. Whereas working in a company for 6 figures, where you don't, at the end of the day, I mean, there's nothing there, to show for. I mean, so that's something that you also, obviously your lawyers will tell you. I mean, whoever lawyer decide to.
How do you structure your equity? Is it restricted stock or is it options?
Well, I mean, we do a little bit of both, actually. For the employees that we got at the beginning, I decided to just do a grant. I mean, we put apart like 10% of the company. It was supposed to be 20, but we brought it down to 10, and then that's how we gave them. But they also have options as well. I mean, so yeah, it's a little bit of both.
So now that you're a boss, what
Too young
was
to
like
be
the
called
hardest?
that.
That you've gone from founder to like CEO.
Yeah.
What is your biggest challenge managing people and?
Sure. I mean, one of the biggest challenges that I found like for the past year and a half, it's not managing people, it's finding people. I mean, that's always one of the biggest challenges that anybody can face. I mean, it's not just about developers. I mean, I'm talking about the executive team. We're talking about even accountants, even lawyers. I mean, it's always good to have some other people to advise you on those sort of things. I mean, so I surrounded myself from people right from the beginning, and they were the ones that luckily introduced me to other people, and that's how I was able to build a team. Once you build a team, I mean, I'm very picky on the people that I actually work with. I mean, so thankfully I haven't had any trouble with anybody. I mean, it's been wonderful working with these guys. So I'm very lucky. We're lucky on that end. Yeah, I think that would be one of the biggest challenges.
Do you look for senior people, mid-career, entry level?
It doesn't really matter. I mean, whatever the need is at the time. I mean, so we have a couple of co-ops that are working. They're not senior developers, but but we do need them for some pieces of the technology. And we also convert titles. So we take a text from publishers and we pass it through our systems, and then we make it available in the marketplace. So for those sort of things, you don't need high quality the developers. I mean, so it all depends. Oh, by the way, if you're going to be working with recruiters, oh my God, recruiters, make sure, the first time that I worked with a recruiter, I wasn't savvy enough because it was the first time, and I didn't negotiate anything in terms of getting your money back when if the person didn't work out. And that's one of the reasons why you should talk to other people that have done it in the past. I mean, so, and ever since, any decision that you make, just try to get people to advise you on it. So what I did is I hired this guy, and then I paid like $20,000 to get him on board. I mean, it's like a percentage of his salary, of yearly salary. And at the end, he ended up not working out. But since I didn't negotiate any time periods or anything, I just lost the money. But now, however, I do negotiate. I mean, that's one of the requisites that I actually have with them. So I work with 4 recruiters. I don't get too many people from them, but I do like to see the resumes. And if I do find somebody, then I do get like 3 months.
You don't get too many resumes, or you don't?
No, I do get a lot of resumes, yeah. But again, I mean, everybody looks great in resumes. I feel like you can. I mean, I can make myself look like I don't know. So you have to take a look at them. For developers, it's very important to know how it is that they work, right? I mean, so what we did is that before we even hire anybody, we would actually tell them this is the project that my best developer took 4 hours in doing. Or I wouldn't tell the hours, but we'll say just do it and let us know how long it takes you. So if it takes 5 hours, we don't get it. Right? If it takes, that's why that's how you actually weed out all of the B and the C players, right? I mean, so that's why I'm very confident with the team that I have. It's it's an A team. I mean, you said technology. The technology is very difficult to actually implement, and we're very lucky to have it. Yeah.
Other questions that you have about running a business, building a business, starting a business, thinking about starting a business?
How did you incorporate it? LLC, C Corp?
At the beginning it was S Corp, but then it switched to C Corp. Yeah, so that's where we are now. Yeah. I mean, they usually, like I said, I mean, once you pick the lawyers, I mean, they'll be able to advise you on those things, yeah. But say it might make more sense, to do an LLC. I mean, it all depends what kind of business you have. Yeah.
I think the folklore would be that if you're expecting VC money, you need to be a C corp.
Of course.
So it depends on where you are in the process.
I counted that in biotech actually.
Okay.
Biotech now there's a move to have LLCs, which allows you to actually create sub-corporations, and then each project can be a sub-corporation, which allows the company to sell off a project without selling off the entire company. And so in biotech, it's becoming more common to have LLC structures for that reason. There's also tax advantages that I don't fully understand. But I don't know about tech. But
Sure.
Biotech, there are a lot more LLCs springing up.
Interesting.
So while you're so busy, you're probably working a lot. I know you have a lot of goals for Gilapad and where
Sure.
Gila's going.
Yep.
But do you have like the next innovation in the back of your mind that you're building in the way back?
Sure.
of your mind?
All the time. That's why I don't sleep. No, actually, it's funny that you say that, but because you always put priorities, right, on the things that you want to build. However, I mean, one of the advantages of being a startup is that we can react very quickly to users' feedback. And so we take that feedback, and guess what? That becomes a priority. I mean, so sometimes plans don't go as you have them in your head. But yes, I mean, I can show you a folder. We have a bunch of features that I've designed myself. I mean, I've had them. That's the way I work, right? So I make designs, I make it visual, and then I give it to the developers, and then they get it done. So, but the idea is that like the uploading PDFs, we weren't even thinking about that 2 months ago. We were not. I mean, but then started getting a bunch of people saying, uploading PDF. I mean, integration with content management systems like Dropbox, Google Drive, even Blackboard. So all those sort of things, they're like, all right, maybe the highlights are gonna have to wait for a little bit. And now, so yeah, I mean, I do have plenty of things that I want to work on. However, I want to make sure that we're not wasting time and effort. Just building something for people and not just for me. Because that's the reason why I actually conducted focus groups. I mean, I was going to Northeastern and I got a grant, $10,000 grant from the program that's called IDEA. So what they do is that they help entrepreneurs, and if you have a great idea, I mean, they give you some money, and then if you go and try to make it happen. So with that money, what I did is that I rented a couple of spaces in MIT, Northeastern, Tufts. I bought a bunch of iPods and iPads, and that's how I lure people to come in. And then at the end of every session, we'll give them the iPads or the gift. But the idea was to just get some feedback with regards to the features that I already had in my head, and the new features that we hadn't built. So so like that, we actually redefined existing features and we came up with new ones, and it helped us a lot because again, I mean, we're targeting people with different backgrounds, with different goals in life. So we want to make sure that I'm not making a product for me. I want to make sure I'm making a product for the users, the end customers. Yeah. Cool. By the way, focus groups. It's very expensive. Yeah. But and it takes a lot of effort too. I mean, getting pizza to come up in the 5th floor when they get lost. I mean, you gotta go. Where is it?
So, what do you look for when you have a focus group?
Sure.
Actually, I have a follow-up question to that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, so I had questionnaires set up, for a specific feature, right? So if we were discussing the PDF, the uploading PDF, I mean, so we would ask you, a series of questions, and then there is a program, an online software that allows you to, take that with your phone, right? So you say, how would you do this? What's the best way of that you would do this? So we would have different designs for different features, and would say, is this, good? I mean, do you not like this one? And most people, every time they saw anything, they said to me, don't make it complicated. I want to just look at it, and I want to just know how to use it. So that's why it's a simple split canvas. And when you sign up, if you do sign up, because I know you will, right? So when you sign up, you're going to see that there's only 3 arrows. The first arrow on the top, it says, access content, browse plugins, and create notes. That's it. And, so we strip down all the buttons, and we want to make sure that, we want to keep it like as simplistic as we could.
And how do you discriminate between what people say they want and what actually is best for them in the sense of easiest?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question because I always face that. I mean, every time, you tell people, what do you want to have? They're going to ask me, I want like a cool recipe site in there. Right? Then somebody else, I want like a dancing, site that could, whatever. So, but what we do is that, after going through, those focus, we're talking to people, we sit down as a company and then we say, would we use this ourselves? And if we would use this, if this technology is something that I would use on my personal life, then that's how we decide. Because the last thing I want is actually not get people involved, and that's very important as well. I mean, get your developers involved in the the development of the product. So so their feedback is also very developers they know and we know as well. So if you give me an idea that's not so good, chances are we'll know, and then we'll say, all right, thank you for your feedback. Come back when you have something else. Cool.
When you get funded, I mean, how much do you decide to pay yourself at that point? And
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
is it standard like 1%, or is there a percentage that most entrepreneurs try to pay themselves?
No, I mean, I just sat down and I looked at my expenses and I said, how much do I need to survive? And that's what I pay myself. I mean, but obviously the investors do want you to pay yourself. I mean, they don't want you to be worried what you're going to be eating next. I mean, they want you to be focused on the business. So if you go and say you're going to have to find a part-time job because your business is not paying you, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, so if I was an investor in your company, I would want you to get paid well. I mean, obviously,
like how,
sure.
I mean, some people like in the early days of the internet, they pay themselves.
Yeah, of course.
$300,000.
Wow, I want to join that company.
Depending on who the investors are, if for instance your early investors are part of an angel group, they'll help you with that. I mean, there are metrics around. We have surveys, and particularly if you're paying yourself $200,000, they'll come and beat up on you.
Sure.
And I was involved in a startup earlier this year, where the CEO had established a pay pattern for himself, and some groups just walked away. They wouldn't, when they saw what the CEO's comp was, they said, "We don't pay that much for a CEO of a startup," and just walked away.
It's just to segue from that. I mean, I actually have a friend that you can get into a lot of trouble when you start paying people that much, because it's very difficult to cut this. I mean, it's easy to give somebody a raise, but it's very difficult to take money away from them. So I got a friend of mine that he just sold his company for many millions. But his issue was every month he was spending at about $500,000 in the people, because every single person in his company had a VP before their titles. I mean, so he was making at about $250 million, a little bit more than that. I think it was an astonishing amount. So I mean, when you're a startup, I mean, I don't think that's a wise thing to do. I mean, it's just it's a lack of judgment, I think. Yeah.
The guy who founded Reebok, whose name I'm forgetting at the moment, but he's been investing for a long time in addition to founding his own company, and he put it very, very well. I thought that when you start a company, you are in a race. And you're in a race to get your product to market and get your product to profitability before the money runs out. And so the way you make spending decisions has a big impact on how you run the race and whether you get a chance to finish the race. Because if you raise too much money and spend too much money before you turn the corner and get to profitability, there's a good chance people won't give you any more money. So you've got to plan to run that race with the money that you have in hand and what you think you can access, and get to profitability as soon as possible, or else you do what 50-some% of startups do and you fail. So, but it would take a running shoe guy to put it in, I think, in the context of a race. But it's a very good metaphor.
Of course, yeah. No, I mean, and like I said, I mean, it's a lot easier to give shares. I mean, shares. I mean, something that you have to really be careful with. I mean, also don't start just giving it away. I mean, that's it's very valuable. I mean, it's like I said, this is my baby. I mean, it's your company. You want to make sure that you keep as much as you can from it. But it's necessary, it's necessary. You can't just be competing with, Apple or Microsoft in their salaries. I mean, it's just, so that's the caveat that you actually give to, your employees. But yeah, be careful with, giving somebody too much and then try to cut. It's not gonna work. So yeah, then you got the unemployment.
Yeah.
Yeah, taxes.
But personnel issues, I would predict, will become more difficult as you get more people.
Of course.
When you go from 14 to 28, there are going to be 10% of those 28 who are going to be pains one way or the other.
Yeah, no, of course.
Give you problems one way or another. Just the nature of people.
No, I know.
Just part of the growing pains. I mean,
of course.
It's good news, but it's bad news.
But yeah, that's what what is their human resources that I believe 11 people is required now that you have to do human resources.
There's a law.
department. I don't know. I mean, I heard a couple of days ago. I mean, maybe.
Really?
maybe
I'm
it's
not
just-
aware, but
Yeah, maybe.
we're so crazy around here making laws.
Yeah, maybe.
How many people in the company?
Right now I got 12, so I better find out. Yeah, no, I've got 12. I mean, you know, with me is 13. Yeah, but it's a fairly a big startup, but not as big as some of the startups. I mean, I actually just went to another company just got funded that came from the mass challenge. So they expanded from 4 people, the founders, to 25 in less than a couple of months. So it was impressive.
No,
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, there are probably opportunities to outsource
Yeah.
things like HR and
Sure,
accounting
yeah,
and that
of
sort of
course.
thing. So it's a way of easing into
Yeah.
the cost of
Sure,
getting
sure.
bigger.
Yeah. No, I did outsource, but outsourcing, I'm not a big fan of outsourcing. I mean, I actually started when I started the company. I started the idea. I hired this company from MIT. So they were. It was like buying a hot dog in Fenway, right? You were paying $20 for something that's worth I don't know a couple of bucks. I mean, and it was I mean, it was unbelievable. But at the time, I was in a race. I mean, I had contracts that I needed to comply with. I mean, they said we're gonna start the beta in September. So, building a team, and this is like February. I mean, you got September. I mean, so you have to, get moving. So I decided to just go with the company and start. But I started building my own team on a side. So, so that was very expensive. I mean, there were, a couple of months where you actually, I was able to build the team while I was paying the outsourced team. So I was spending, quite a bit. But then I was able to bring all that development in-house. And when I did that, I mean, I had so much more control of the development itself. Like, even simple colors, man. Like the shadows, it's something that drives me nuts, man. Why are you not doing gradients? All those sort of things, right? I mean, so it was a lot easier for me, to actually, make this a much faster way. Yeah. But you need it. I mean, if you guys, an advice that I give you, building a team takes time, it takes money. So I think, the best way of getting an idea done, I mean, it's just, initially, I mean, go one of these companies, software development companies that can help you out, to get started. And then if you're able to actually, get the interest of people with money, then obviously, that's when you start building your own team. But initially, I think it makes more sense for you to focus on the business, focus on the things that you do best, and then get somebody else to do development for you. All right.
Other comments?
This is great.
I think we've
Thank
done
you.
it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for
Hey,
coming.
thank-